Response to abiotic factor. Have, Having realized that the abiotic condition of many habitats may vary drastically in time, we now ask how do the organism living in such habitat cope or manage with stressful condition. But before attempting to answer this question, we should perhaps ask first why a highly variable external environment should bother organism after all. One would accept that during the course of year million of year of their existence, many species would have evolved a relative constant external within the body environment that permit all biochemical reaction and physiological function to proceed with maximal efficiency and therefore enhance the overall fitness of the species. This uh, consistently, for example, could be in terms of optimal temperature and osmotic concentration of body fluid. Ideally, then, the organism should try to maintain the consistency of its internal environment, a process called homeostasis. The homeostasis, despite the vary, despite the varying external environmental condition that tend to upset its homeostasis. Let us take an analogy to clarify these important concept. Suppose a person suppose a person able to perform his or her best when the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius and wishes to maintain it so, even when it is scorching hot or freezing cold outside. It could be achieved at home, in the car while traveling, and at workplace by using an air conditioner in summer and heater in winter. Then his or her performance could be always maximal regardlessly to the weather around him or her. Here, the person's homeostasis is accomplished not through physiological but artificially means. How do the other living organisms cope with the situation? Let us look the various possibilities. Regulate. Some organisms are able to maintain homeostasis by physiological, sometimes behavioral also, means which ensure constant body temperature, constant osmotic concentration, etc. All birds and mammals, and a very few lower vertebrates and invertebrates species are indeed capable to such regulation, thermoregulation or osmoregulation. Eventu- Evolutionary biologists believe that the success of mammals is largely due to their ability to maintain a constant body temperature and thrive whether they live in Antarctica or in Sahara Desert. The mechanism used by most mammals to regulate their body temperature are similar to the ones that humans use. We maintains a constant body temperature 37 degree in summer when our degree 7 in summer when outside temperature is more than our body temperature. We sweat profusely. We sweat profusely. We sweat profusely. The result evaporate cooling, similar to what happened with a desert cooler in operation, bringing it down and body temperature. In winter, when the temperature is much lower than 37 degree, we start to shiver, a kind of exercise which produces heat and raises the body temperature. Plant, on the other hand, do not have such mechanism to maintain internal temperature. Conformer, an overwhelming majority, 99% of animals and nearly all plants cannot maintain a constant internal temperature. Their body temperature changes with the ambient temperature. In aquatic animals, the osmotic concentration of the body fluid changes with that of the ambient water osmotic concentration. These animals and plants are simply conformers. Considering the benefits of constant internal environment to the organism, we must ask this we must ask why these conformers had not evolved to become regulator. Recall recall the human analogy we used above. Much as they like Recall the human analogy we used above. Much as they like, how many peoples can really afford an air conditioner? How many peoples can air conditioner? Many simply sweat it out and resign themselves to suboptimal performance in hot summer months. Thermoregulation is energetically expensive for many organisms. This is a, this is particularly true for small animals like sparrow and hummingbird. Heat loss or heat gain is a function of surface area. Since small animals have a large surface area relative to their volume, they tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. They have to expend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. This is the this is the main reason why very small animals are rarely found in polar region. During the course of evolution, the costs of benefits of maintaining a constant internal environment are taken into consideration. Some species have evolved the ability to regulate body only over limited range or environmental beyond condition beyond which they simply conform. It If the stressful extent condition are localized or remain only for a short duration, the organism has two other alternatives. Migrate. Migrate. The organism can move away temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area and return when stressful period is over. In human analogy, this strategy is like a person moving from Delhi to Shimla for the duration of summer. Many animals, particularly birds, during winter undertake long distance migration to more hospitable area where every winter the famous Kolonda National Park, Bharatpur in Rajasthan hosts thousands of migratory birds coming from Siberia and other extremely cold northern regions. Suspend in bacteria, fungi, and lower plants, various kind of thick-walled spores are formed, which helps them to survive unfavorable conditions. This germinate on availability of suitable environment. In higher plants, seeds and some other vegetative reproductive structures serve as a means to tide over period of stress besides helping in dispersal. They germinate to form new plants under favorable moisture and temperature conditions. They do so by reducing their metabolic activity and doing into a state of dormancy. In animal, the organism, if unable to migrate, might might avoid the stress by escaping in time. The familiar case of bear going into hibernation during winter is an example of escape in time. Some snails and fishes go into estivation to avoid summer related problems, heat and desiccation. Under favorable condition, many zooplankton species in lake and ponds are known. Under unfavorable condition, many zooplankton species in lake and ponds are known to enter diapause, a stage of suspended development. While consider adaptation, while considering the variation alternative available to organisms for coping with extreme in their environment, we have seen that some are able to respond through certain physiological adjustments do so while others do so behaviorally, migrating temporarily to a less stressful habitat. These responses are also actually their adaptation. So we can say that adaptation is an attribute to the organism, morphologically, physiological, behavioral, that enables the organism to survive and reproduce in its habitat. Many adaptations have evolved over a long evolutionary time and are genetically fixed in the absence of an external source of water. The kangaroo rat in North American desert is capable of meeting all its water requirements through its internal fat oxidation. In which water is a byproduct. It also has the ability to concentrate its urine so that minimum volume of water is used to remove excretory product. Many honey desert plants have a thick cuticle on their leaf surface and have their stomata enlarged, arranged in deep pits to minimize water loss through transcription. They also have a special photosynthetic pathway CAM that enable the stomata to remain closed during daytime. Some some desert plants like opunia, they have no leaves. They are reduced to spines and the photosynthetic function is taken over by flattened stems. Mammals from colder climates generally have shorter ears and limbs to minimize heat loss. This is called alien rule. In the polar seas, aquatic mammals like seals have a thick layer of fat bulb below their skin that insulator act as an insulator and reduce loss of body heat. Some organisms process adaptation that are physiologically which in some organisms process adaptation that are physiological which allow them to respond quickly to a stressful situation. If you had ever been at high altitude place, uh, more than 3500 meter Rastun Pass, Rastang Pass near Manali and Mansora, Manasarovar in China occupied Tibet, you must have experienced what is called altitude sickness. These symptoms include nausea, fatigue, and out precipitation. This is because in low atmospheric pressure of high altitude, the body does not get enough oxygen, but gradually you get acclimatized and stop experiencing altitude sickness. How did your body solve this problem? The body compensate low oxygen availability by increasing the red blood cell production, decreasing the binding capacity of hemoglobin, and by increasing breathing rate. Many tribes live in the high altitude of find out find out Himalaya find out if they normally have a higher red blood cells count or total hemoglobin that people living in the plain. In most animals, the metabolic reaction and hence all the physiological function proceed optimally in narrow temperature range, that is in human it is 37 degree, but there are a more microbes archibacterias that flourished in hot springs and deep sea hydrothermal vents where temperature far exceed 100 degrees Celsius. How this is possible? Many fishes thrive in Antarctic water. They where the temperature is always below zero. How do they manage to keep their body fluid from freezing? A large variety of marine invertebrates and fish live at great depth in the ocean, where the pressure could be more than 100 times the normal atmospheric pressure that we experience. How do they live under such crashing pressure, and do they have any special enzyme? Organism living in such extreme environment shows a fascinating array of biochemical adaptation. Some organisms show behavioral response to cope with variation in their environment. Desert lizard lack of physiological ability that mammals have to deal with the high temperature of their habitat, but manage to keep their body temperature fairly constant by behavioral means. They bask in sun and absorb it when their body temperature drops below a comfort zone, but move into shade with when the ambient temperature starts increasing. Some special species are capable of burrowing into the soil to hide and escape from the above ground eating.